Good evening. I will call the school committee meeting for Wednesday, May 13th to order. All members are present, and please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. That brings us to a presentation for Skills USA. We have Director Bono.
The Technology Center, and I can't run the technology. If I could also have our students that participated in skills come on down and join me, it'd be great. So tonight we're recognizing 6 of our Center of Technology students. That we had over 30 students participating this year, which is an increase from last year. But these are the 6 that have placed in skills, which was held in March. 2 of the students will also now be going to nationals in Atlanta, Georgia, and that takes place the first week in June. So Mr. Ed McCaskey is their advisor for skills. There's quite a bit involved, but he coordinates everything, coordinates the trips, coordinates the overnight lodging, food, everything, and works with Skills USA in terms of the competitions. They have several requirements in order to compete, one of which is like submitting a resume. So he works with them on that to make sure all of that is in place. Mr. Laney is also our computer technology teacher. He has a student that placed and is going to the nationals. So we're here tonight to recognize these students for their hard work, their technical skills, but also their persistence and their motivation. And I think these are students that we want to watch for in the future because they have a very bright one. So Jack Squires is a gold medalist in our CNC programming course, and he is not with us tonight. He actually works in a machine shop called Nichols Manufacturing right here in Saco. I said, I'm sure you can get out of work to do this, but he felt that he couldn't. So, but Jack is going on to nationals, and he is taught by Tim Fenimore. We also have Roberto Nagaba. He is a student at TA, was a student. He graduated last year. He came back to us as a post-grad. And so he has completed his 2nd year with us in plumbing. And come on up. This is our superintendent, Ray.
Congratulations. Thank you very much. Well, thank you.
Roberto also was recognized last year when the Portland Press puts out the students to watch out for. He was one that was recognized. So again, he and many of them standing here as students to look for. Zane Preventure is actually a sophomore, and he placed, he's a BHS student, and he received a medal in IT programming, and he is going to nationals this year. And he is taught by Mr. Laney. We have Ethan McWilliam here today. He is from Old Orchard Beach High School. He placed with a silver medal in CNC 3-axis milling programming. He is actually going on to Thomas College to study computer programming. And we have Gregory Cassavant. He is also from TA. He is one of our welding students, and he earned himself a bronze medal at the competition. And our last student who is not here with us is Thomas Go. He is a Biddeford High student. He placed with a bronze medal in architectural drafting. Thomas actually started with us as a sophomore and is currently a junior. And so he is also another student that's doing very well and will continue on with us for his senior year. So thank you for recognizing them and supporting our competition in all of our efforts.
Congratulations. Good luck.
We'll let you know how nationals go.
Thank you. That will bring us to our adjustments to the agenda, of which there are none. So approval of our last meeting minutes from April 29th, 2026.
So moved. Second.
Moved by Marie, second by Amy. All those in favor? That is unanimous. Yeah. And moving on to our consent agenda, we have nominations for Alyssa Willett, Biddeford Intermediate School teacher, and appointments for non-athletic stipends, as well as Theodore Wolf, Biddeford High School, returning to Ed Tech 2, and Stacy Ordway, Biddeford Primary School, returning to Ed Tech 1. Resignations, John Dowalibi from the Regional Center of Technology, and transfers, Michael Ryan moving to Ed Tech 3 to special education teacher, and Michael King moving to a full-time bus aide.
So moved. Second.
Moved by Marie, second by Amy. All those in favor? That is unanimous. Thank you. Brings us to our superintendent's report. Superintendent Ray.
All right, good evening, everybody. Just first wanted to recognize the impact in the community that many of our students have. Recently, the Vocational Center electrical and plumbing students and instructors, want to thank them for doing outstanding work on projects out in the community. Whether that's they really assisted with the new Alternative Pathway Center, doing all the wiring there, a lot of plumbing at Mayfield concessions buildings, and it's just a great way for them to get real world skills and out into the field. I want to congratulate Maxwell House, a Biddeford High School junior, who's in the computer technology program, on his incredible achievement as this year's main app challenge winner. Maxwell earned first place statewide for his app run-up out of 151 competitors, and even more impressive, he has a $6,000 scholarship, an internship coming from that. The COT had 7 students place among the top 25 finalists, so that's pretty impressive what's going on. A couple of weeks ago, we had our Athletic Hall of Fame here on a Saturday, and I want to congratulate Biddeford High School's Athletic Hall of Honor class for their induction this year. It was a great event. Room was pretty packed for a Saturday afternoon, so very happy about that. The school department is proud to be one of 7 Maine school districts selected to participate to the Shaw Challenge in partnership with Maine Health. This is a 4-year initiative that focuses on youth mental health and wellness, and the district will receive $10,000 annually to support evidence-based programming, training, and student supports. We recently had a great kickoff through the partnership when 20 students from Biddeford Intermediate School attended a Portland Hearts of Pine match, helping launch additional social emotional learning opportunities for our students. And then thank you to the Rotary Club of Saco Bay for their $1,000 donations to the APC program. And then also one more, thank you to several generous community partners for their support for the improvements to the Don Wilson Memorial Fitness campaign. We're grateful for People's Choice Credit Union and their $10,000 contribution, Biddeford Athletic Association for a $5,000 donation, Firecracker Basketball for $1,000 towards this effort. We received some others today that are not on the list, and we are like within $2,000 of kind of the base project. There are some other things that we'd like to have, like door security and stuff that can come in the future. But we are right there to take care of that and to start that project. So it's very exciting. Anyone who is watching that would like to donate towards this, please contact Shelley Kane. Every once in a while, when we think about renovations like this, we say, well, the high school's new. Well, we're about 15 years in. And so things do need to be replaced. But thank you to the community and everyone who stepped forward on that.
Thank you. Any questions for Superintendent Ray? Seeing none, we'll move on to our student representatives report, starting with Cordelia Kane.
So the school year is really starting to wind down. Prom is on Saturday. For the seniors who are planning on going, tickets are being sold at A, B, and C lunch for $50. On Wednesday, the Biddeford High School Interact Club worked with the Rotary Club to work on cleaning up our courtyard so it can be a better space for kids to go use. And on Monday, we had our National Honor Society induction. Congratulations, Marcus, for being inducted. And that's it.
Thank you. Marcus Perkins.
I would like to begin to say what an amazing job the chorus and band did at their spring concert. It was a wonderful performance to watch. We inducted 16 kids for National Honor Society that night, and we also just had our state testing a couple days ago.
Thank you. Any questions for our student representatives? Seeing none, congratulations to Marcus on the induction, and Cordelia, you had some news too on a commitment for college. Congratulations. Brings us to our committee reports. Any committee reports this evening from school committee members? Michelle?
So policy met this afternoon. We went over multiple policies, but the one we spent the most time reviewing is the new cell phone policy. We started discussing some of the ins and outs of it, but we will have something on the table probably, I think, June-ish meeting. We're still discussing with the different stakeholders. Also, I know some of the administration's been meeting with other schools to kind of look at what they're doing. So taking a lot of things into account, gotten some feedback from the community as well, and taking those things to an account. So, but there will be some other policies next school board meeting you will see, but that one, we're going to spend a little bed more time with that one.
Thank you. Marie?
Negotiations continue with the Ed Tech 2, 1, 2, 3 library aides and administrative assistants. We met this past Monday. Significant improvement has been made with regards to contract language, and we will be meeting again this coming Monday.
Thank you. Any other committee reports? Seeing none. Old business, which there is also none. New business, we'll begin with the ESEA FY27 preliminary allocation memo.
Good evening. In front of you, you have the memo that has explicitly states our preliminary allocations for our Title 1, 2, 3, and 4 programs. In general, we see a reduction at approximately $80,000 for the upcoming school year. The nuance as to why that has taken place is written in the language underneath. I spent a lot of time trying to figure out how those funds are calculated. A lot of it ties back to census data and federal government funding formulas that are slightly different for each line each grant program that we're working with. So in all, we're going to have to make a few different adjustments on our end in terms of how we're going to spend the funds that we do have available. There's still possibility that that overall number will change, and we will wait to hear. I'm meeting with Lindsay and Megan as they work on their school level CNA, and then of course, district-wide for Title III and then Title IV as well. So we have some work we need to do behind the scenes, and I will keep you updated on those funds.
Thank you. Any questions? Seeing none. Thank you. That brings us to B, summer reallocation memo.
This news is a little better. So we did apply for some summer reallocation funds. This year we were awarded the full ask that we had, which is 122,000 that will support our summer school programming. It will also include Learning Works this year. So they're going to come in and they're going to be working with our students part of the time when they're not in small group intervention sessions. So that's really exciting. Part of this is also going to fund our Title III summer programming, which offsets the instructional costs that we have from the state from Title III funds for fiscal year 26. So plans have begun to put out information so we can hire and we can have the schedule all set. We can get communication out to families and inviting students to participate in the summer programming. We are looking forward to offering this in July.
Thank you. Any questions for Director Sear? Seeing none. Thank you.
Thank you.
Brings us to item C under new business, approval of probationary contracts. Looking for a motion.
So moved.
Second.
Moved by Amy, second by Marie. Any discussion? Seeing none. All those in favor? That is unanimous, and congratulations to all those teachers and staff. Item D, approval of PLCSS stipends.
So moved. Second.
Moved by Amy, second by Marie. Any discussion? I had a question. In the memo, it mentions the stipends themselves. Are those in the attached non-athletic stipends under appointments? They're attached now? Yeah. Okay. So they are attached. Oh, they're on the bottom. Okay. Thank you. Any further questions or discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor? That is also unanimous. Final item of new business, item E, bell-to-bell cell phone ban phone discussion.
So this is where I suspect the meeting slows down a little bit. So I wanted to talk about a little bit of background first. On April 10th, when Governor Mills signed the supplemental budget into law, inside the supplemental budget on like GG something, there was $350,000 put in with language around a bell-to-bell cell phone ban. That means there wasn't a bill. It was a modification of a bill. But it was moved into law. So here we sit today with a change that many will support, many will be against. A law that was to be policy given to schools through the department and through Superintendent's Association that you guys reviewed tonight. And other than the language that's in the bill that's about, or in the budget that's about a paragraph long, that says internet connectable devices such as cell phones, watches, AirPods, whatever, school districts are faced with creating policy, finding procedures, and essentially enforcing a bell-to-bell ban on phones. We have talked with many districts already have it, what's working, what's not. We met with Scarborough and Portland the other day with their administrations, came together to just hey, what are you thinking? What are we thinking? And I think it puts us in an interesting place because a couple of summers ago, we kind of went through this and got some feedback from a lot of people and, modeled what we would kind of do based off hearing voices. Now you have a situation where that's kind of been cut out a little bit. It's here. And so one of the things that, certainly our approach is not perfect here, never has been. And we have challenges each and every day with kids and phones, and they will continue to challenge us, I suspect, in this process as well. I have a 16-year-old, and you know, he's at a different school, but he certainly has provided his feedback on it, and I suspect you guys would have feedback as well. But you know, at the end of the day, whatever we as a group try to decide, we're going to have teachers on the front line like dealing with this. And so I put out just a simple survey to staff, like, okay, this, just give me your initial thoughts of what you've read, what you've dealt with. And the results were in the memo about some of the options that are out there. When we did the kind of change last time, we did a lot of it in the summertime. And by the time we were ready to order cases and boxes, we were getting half of them, some were delayed. And I think now we've got an opportunity to, we have to have this in place by August 1. If you go one route, it requires us to purchase something. If you go another route, it may require us to purchase something else or do nothing or have a different policy. But whatever we do, I really want to have things in place day one, whatever that decision is. You've read through the memo, and you can see what some of the concerns are. I also have some concerns about not providing a tool for teachers to use, because I do think that this is going to be on a different level for everybody, because while policies now in many schools are school-based policies, I do think that individuals, if something negative was to happen, they're going to be like, well, there's a law in place, even though the law doesn't define any consequences. My guess would be is that the consequences would fall on the school department for not having a policy. What that would be anyone's guess, because this, you know, hasn't been done before. There's $350,000 available from the state, which won't go far. If we were in a situation where a bag or a holder or something was purchased, there are a lot of interest out there from other communities to say, hey, how can we do a group purchase to bring down the price for everybody? You know, certainly we will be at a volume that is very different than what a school in rural Maine may have access to. And, you know, as superintendents, we've talked about, is there a way to facilitate some of that work together? But really here to answer some questions, get some more information out into the community through watching this. I know that you guys spent a lot of time on policy tonight with this, because this is coming quick. You know, August 1st is not far away, and April 10th was the day that it was signed. So we are a little bit in reactionary mode on this piece. So certainly open up for conversation, comments, what we got to do, those types of things, any initial direction that we're thinking about, reactions, so that we can try to have some conversations moving forward.
Megan and then Amy.
So, you know, I know that there's a lot of energy around this, from students and from teachers and from parents, and a lot of anxiety because it's unknown and we don't have it all spelled out yet. And I think what we want to do is be really thoughtful about the policy and really thoughtful about the procedures. So we don't want to be reactionary and come up with a policy and a set of procedures right away, so that people can have this idea of what it's going to be immediately, and then figure out how to work around it. We're gonna be thoughtful, and we're gonna try to get as much information from the stakeholders as possible as we move forward in this process. But again, it's a pretty black and white state law in terms of it's a bell-to-bell band, and how we carry that out is the only thing up for discretion. But like, a bell-to-bell band is a bell-to-bell band. And so what I just want to say to the community that's so anxious and and worried about this is, as somebody who's been in a district, who did the bell-to-bell ban for a year, it's gonna be okay. It's been okay. There's a way to do this and have it be okay. You know, we have the same level of anxiety in the district that I just went through this with, and within a week, nobody was worried about this anymore. Nobody was anxious anymore. People were interacting better, more engaged in classes, and nobody was anxious. You know, so I think we keep talking about how many concerns there are, how anxious people are, and all the pitfalls of it. But I just want to keep urging people to know, like, it's going to be okay. It's not the end of the world. It might even be great. So.
And we'll be going to, you're going to Morse High School on June 2nd. And so if there was anyone who wanted to go to Morse, they were one of the first bag schools that are into effect. And I think when I talk with their superintendent, they say they would make that same decision every day of the week and twice on Sunday, because it's worked for them. There are districts who haven't, and they have strategies that have worked for them. You know, in talking with Portland superintendent, who they went with the bag last year, you know, being larger, they were like, you know, we needed something to help us manage some of this. And, you know, pretty quickly it came into play for them. He's like, certainly not perfect, and there's still challenges around that. I think the other piece that, like, for us, like, we do have to think about communication and kids' phones, and like, okay, so what are we going to need to do in the lobby? Because all I can remember is, you know, in my high school, the payphone was like right there. And when you were dropped off from an athletic trip, you called your parents collect, and they didn't accept the calls, and they knew it was time to come get you. You know, for anyone who's watching at home, I've really been scouring Facebook for an old style phone booth, because I really think that would be something that could be fun. No, you guys need that.
Like Doctor Who?
You don't know how to use that, and we're going to install a rotary phone in it and really test you. And so you may have to do that too. But I am serious about that phone booth thing. But I think this is, you know, I think one of the hardest things individually, not just as a school piece, is that this isn't just a change for you guys. It's a change for adults too. And I would say that I am 100% guilty of maybe sending a text to my son during the day. Got to change that. Like, we've got to figure it out on our end, what we do differently. I think kids will adapt, adults will adapt, and the schools will adapt on this piece. We need to get the policy in place first, and then go from the policy, think about the procedures, and think about the things that we need. Mandy has been working hard on getting samples of possible devices if we go that route, and what that would look like, and getting quotes, and then we would go and try to get volume quotes for that if other districts wanted to partner, that would look at. We will meet and have conversations as this policy goes along. I really want to, talk a little bit more with the high school staff based off their feedback. And, are their thoughts still the same after they probably read more or get more, and kind of hear like what the challenges are going to be and how do we go through this piece. And I think again, the hardest piece is this change didn't happen organically like it happened in many districts. We went through a piece that we wanted and maybe would have revisited and gone another step. But it is here now. And again, the language doesn't have a lot of carve-outs in it. Bell to bell. That's pretty clear to me. what that means. Certainly, we will have to work around the procedures of when kids leave or kids go to the vocational center, and really trying to make sure that we don't have a disruption of in and out of classrooms, and and part of the pieces of trying to work regionally on this was, I was having some hope that we might be very similar in the approach with the schools that do go to the vocational center. So it's like not like kids dealing with several different policies and procedures. And I know what the vocational center has now seems to work very well for them. But it is different in some of those classes for kiddos that probably aren't going to be on a welding machine with a phone in their hand, because you'd learn pretty quick not to do that. But entertain any questions, comments, anyone who would like to go with us, we can make that happen. So
Amy, Marie, and
Yeah, I just want to speak to the conversation that happened in policy. We did do a review of the draft language. The policy is intentionally like fairly high level. That's the thing that has to be in place first. So for the benefit of the community, I want to make sure people know that that is not going to be where the super detailed nitty gritty stuff is ever going to live. So if you're reading that and panicking, or reading that and thinking this isn't good enough, like, please know that that's why it's like that. And then the rubber will meet the road in the procedures. And just in that conversation and policy, we, there were a few things that I hadn't thought of, like effectively, if we allow kids to bring their laptops, well, all right, my laptop's also my telephone, so I could be texting whomever I like. So, we're going to have a lot of layers to this that are going to have knock-on effects that we're all going to have to think through.
Marie.
So I have a couple of things. A few weeks ago, when this whole bell-to-bell policy was being discussed and being pushed and then voted upon at the state level, there were also news segments coming out on businesses looking to go the same way. So I think we have found that it's been a disruption to our kids. I think kids have found here that it was a disruption to what they were doing and settled into what we were doing. And I think businesses are finding the same thing. I mean, it's a problem, so it needs to be addressed. I have a concern when I see staff being concerned with a percentage of 70 about inconsistencies with staff enforcement. And what I'm going to say to that here and now, to the community and to our staff, it is not an option. It is not anything that you are picking and choosing to do or not do. It is a law. There will be a policy in place, and it needs to be followed, plain and simple. And I don't know why we have a problem with that. We shouldn't. Someone puts something forth before you. I mean, we have, student handbooks, and the rules are in there. We're all supposed to be following them. It's not a choice. This is what the school board adopts. This is what the state adopted. This is what the state told all of us we're going to do, and everyone needs to be on the same page and in line. So that's what I'm going to say about that, because I've dealt with that on a number of different issues, and it's frustrating for staff that are doing what they're being asked to do and others who don't. They make it difficult for the staff following. And Jeremy, I don't know if you need like a pouch motion so you can get going on things and to, apply cost saving measures and tactics. Are you looking for anything like that this evening?
Well, that would probably be a blessing in disguise if that happened, but I think we might be a little too soon for that, have a
Okay.
little policy talk. I mean, I guess what I would want to know is that if there were 7 people who were all against the pouch, because then we would spend no time researching that. I think one of the biggest concern that I worry about is that we will come to a point in time and then it's like, hey, there's a little building modification, or got to order something, and that we won't have a time to get it all, because across the country, there's been a fair amount of the cell phone bell-to-bell bans that have been going in. I just always worry about supply chain and those types of things. And so our ability to make that decision sooner or later or rule it out is helpful for whatever we do.
That's why I was asking.
Yep.
Can you describe the pouch and how it's used?
So I'm going to ask Mandy to come up, because Mandy has been looking at 3 different products. And she can give us a little bit more of those because they have some design differences.
Sure. So the 3 products we've been looking at, the first one is called Yonder Pouch. It's almost, think of it as a soft side glasses case that you might put in, large enough for a large cell phone. When you go to Macy's and you buy something off the shelf, it has a security tag. Similar technology on the top of that pouch. So you put your cell phone in, you shut the flap, you go to the device that will then close it together. It's really a very, very strong magnet. Student would then keep that pouch on them for the day, and then at the end of the day when they're done, they go back to a station, unlock, remove, leave the pouch. That's oftentimes how it's used. The next one is called New Case. New Case is a little bit new to the market in terms of this utilization, but I liken it to Blockbuster back in the 90s, maybe, where you go and you get your DVD and it was in this big plastic case and it had to be unlocked up front so
Just
you
what it
didn't
is.
steal the DVDs, I suppose. So these are more of a hard polycarbonate case. They have a hinge on the short end, so they come in 2 sizes. They open, you place your items inside, plenty of room for a cell phone, AirPods, watch. If you get the bigger size, the smaller size would only be for a cell phone. Again, a mechanism on top that's a magnet. You put it together, slide it, it locks for the day, goes into a student's bag. The third one is called a quiet case. They are more new to this world of engineering for cell phone uses in schools. It is a soft case that has a zipper lock. So you would grab the soft case, you'd put your items inside, you would zip it shut individually, and then it's a click and it locks in place. So there's no magnet needed to lock it in place. The student goes on about their day, and then at the end of the day, they need to go to an unlocking station or a hand wand that a teacher might have to unlock the device for them. So those are the 3 different options that I found that have been researching.
Tim?
Thank you, Mayor LaFont. I have like 4 clarification type of things. I don't know if they're questions or just, yeah, I guess they are questions, but one of them was on the pouch system, and you just described a variety of different pouches that we're looking at. So I'll ask them in order, okay, since we're on pouches right now. What's the difference between the pouch system that you're referring to and also, I don't know what we call them, but they were like a case where they stayed in the classroom, where students deposited their cell phones, if you will, for that class, collected them at the end of the class and went on to the next class, and hopefully the other teacher would collect them again. What I'm understanding is it's just a process. They're going to be given a pouch. Each student will be given a pouch. They'll be walking around with a locked pouch all day. Can you kind of take me through their day with a pouch and kind of describe the difference between that and, I'll call it a bank, if you will, of cell phones? Then
Sure.
I've got some follow-ups.
Sure. So what currently happens at the high school, we have these lovely cell phone cottages that are in every single classroom. Students will come in, they'll place their phone in the cottage, they will go about their academic block, and then they will leave at the end of that block, take their phone with them. So they have them in the hallway and at lunchtime. Okay. So with a pouch system, they would come in. Again, these are nuanced in terms of how we are going to implement. I don't know that yet. So this is one of the things that we've learned from other schools. Students will walk in the main lobby. They will have the pouches out in bins. They will take their pouch. They will slide their phone in, they will lock it or turn it. So it will be secure for the day. It stays on their person for the entire day. If they get dismissed, they leave early, what have you, they still have their phone with them, and they just need to go to an unlocking station on their way out the door.
Following up with the pouch, and I still have three other things that are really softballs for everyone here, but with the pouch, have you talked to a school district that's had difficulty with students going out and buying something that can unlock the pouch? Because I know that that product is available, and how do they deal with that? There's a product out there that you can buy that unlocks pouches, and I'm assuming a lot of students in Maine and elsewhere have bought that product and unlocked their pouches during the day. And I'm wondering if any of the school districts have addressed that yet.
Sure, the conversations that I have been very minimal. We're assuming that certain kids have purchased them and do have them. However, in all of the conversations that I've had, it's been a very small number. And as I said during policy committee, because that same question came up, we talked about how there's almost a different level of concern if a student is therefore now also breaking a school rule and procedure in terms of purchasing an external piece of equipment to then unlock your phone. We've got to talk, right? We have to help navigate how and when it's appropriate to use a cell phone.
Yep, thank you for that, Mandy. I also, with the policy, it's going to be a school district policy, I assume, not just a BHS policy.
Correct.
With that in mind, how come other schools weren't polled on what they favored with this policy? BHS, I'm looking at a poll with BHS teachers, but nothing with Biddeford Middle School, and I'm wondering why that didn't happen.
Quite frankly, the challenge that we have with middle school students and them just leaving them in the lockers is much, much different than what we have at the high school level. And to kick it off, I started with the high school teachers as I felt like that was maybe a different animal than middle schools, hoping that we still have some middle schoolers that don't have phones at all. It doesn't mean that we have to follow the same procedure. Also talking with our middle school principals, when we've talked about this as a group, I think they see the challenge as a little bit less than what we face at the high school level. And so I started with high school principals, high school staff first, because I see that as, you know, the majority of our students. You're dealing with 5, 6, 7. Lindsay talks about her elementary students not really having a problem at that level. You know, and just like last night, I was at a meeting in Dayton, and yes, we have to have a policy out there for pre-K through 5, but we don't see anything other than don't show it to us being the challenge.
Thank you for that. Just a couple more things. Is the staff included in the policy using their cell phones during the day as well as the students?
It's not included in the state law. It started that way, and then it was pulled out.
Okay. Any consideration, or I'll strike that. With other schools, do you see them enforcing that with staff and students, or is it just mostly a student policy that they're developing because of state law?
I would say that it's mostly a student thing, but let's also remember that one of our emergency protocols is for our Share 911 to allow staff to lock down the school if needed. So we would need to adjust that piece, or look at a different product, or look at something different in that if we were to be inclusive of staff.
Thank you, and I don't want to hog the conversations. I know there's other members that have questions, and following along with what Marie had with enforcement, is it going to be strictly, I don't know how to word this question, so I'm just going to say what's on my mind. I don't think it's fair that teachers solely are reliable or responsible, I should say, to enforce this new policy that we come up with. I think they need help. They're busy enough teaching, if you will. And so I think when we look at procedures through the policy committee, I think we have to look at how this new policy will be enforced at the individual schools. I think for teachers, and I saw their concerns as I read through this also, I know that it's inconsistent throughout classrooms and it's not fair. And I think there has to be some administrative oversight on how that's followed through with. Thank you.
Megan?
I want to start with piggybacking on what was just said, because when we did our initial, cell phone policy, we purchased these lockers and we told the community that this was going to be the policy and that this is going to be how it was enforced. And that was 2 years ago. And I'm disappointed to see in the survey that we are very clearly saying that that didn't happen and that so much inconsistency happened. Because we're about to ask the community again to trust what we say when we say that this is going to happen and it's state law. And as I said, people are anxious. So I've got to say I'm very disappointed that the system we created and spent a lot of time on and resources on 2 years ago is so clearly not been followed consistently. And so I understand the benefits of the pouch system. I mean, again, I'm going to be transparent. Say I work in a district that didn't do the pouch system. We didn't invest a single dollar in our cell phone bell-to-bell ban, and we've done it successfully. So I think there is a way to do that. So I have a hard time with investing a lot more money in this, knowing that we invested money and it didn't work the way that we asked it to. So all I'm asking for now, because I agree, I want to support that this is state law and we need to do it and we need to support it. And I know teachers' jobs are hard. I'll remind everyone they asked for the cell phone policy in the first place, and then, we had a big inconsistency. But I'd like to see more than one proposal about how to do the bell to bell. Like we've heard about the pouches, and you have 3 different options for pouches, and I think that's great. But I don't want to choose between pouches or nothing. Like I'd like to see what else is an option that is not going to be as expensive as pouches.
Amy?
Yeah, I'll just second that to say that, like, I want to do the thing that works well for our teachers and works the best for our schools. And if we have to invest money, we do. But I also have heard of some free options that have worked well. And it does seem like there might be something out there. And I'd love to just hear what options other people are using successfully.
Marcus and then Marie.
I think that our don't get me wrong, I like the pouch idea, but our phone banks or cubbies, hotels, whatever you want to call them, they do work, but it's really the students' fault for not participating in it, because the teachers, they do a great job of enforcing our phone rules and other things like that. But so it's supposed to go in the box when you enter the class, or it's supposed to stay in your locker. Now, students will say, "Oh, it's in my locker," and but it's really not. And the teachers, they can't search them, so they have to believe them, and so they'll end up being on it anyways. But they do when they do get caught by the teachers, they do they do the thing of taking it and whatnot. So I think the box idea isn't flawed. It's the students who are the ones not respecting the box idea.
Thank you, Marcus. Marie and then Emily.
I just want to be mindful because we're sitting here and it's May and it's going to fly. And then we're June, July, August, and September's here, and we really want to be ready in, early August, not late August, because there's a lot of things happening late August into early September. So we think we have a lot of time, but we really don't. And surprises always pop up. Last year, we had all kinds of surprises, to the budget of things that need to get done. Things happen. So I just want to be mindful of that. So whichever direction we're going to go, whatever our needs are, we need to be aware that there are time constraints here. So I just want to say this is a short window of time to do things. And, you know, the summers get busy. And so everyone's got stuff to do. So I just want to make sure that, you know, we're moving ahead with good pace, consistent pace, you know, and our nose to the grind here to get this done in a fruitful, positive, productive manner, but timely, because it's, I don't know where time goes, so just saying.
Emily?
Thanks. There are a lot of concerns. I do want to just say though that I think this could be, there's a reason why the phone ban is a good idea, right? There's a reason why teachers asked for it. There's a reason why it's in state law. Yes, we're going to have to kind of rush, but this gives us an opportunity, as long as we put the infrastructure in place, to really improve the day-to-day experiences of our students and our staff and our admin. And I think one big area that I'm looking at, and I'm not on the policy committee, but one thing that I have heard from many community members is that the use of phones to communicate after school activities, sometimes communicating directly with students, from coaches to students' cell phones, that is not okay. It's not a good idea for many, many, many reasons that we all adults understand, right? It really is frustrating for parents who are constantly feeling like they have to like do a drop off, do a pickup, drop something off they didn't know about, go to a thing they didn't know about. Their kids, you know, we can't be trusting 11-year-olds to communicate with their parents about sporting events, and that's happening in a lot of cases. And if we can't rely on cell phones to do that, I think there will be a huge net improvement. So I want to say that when we get rid of phones, like Jeremy was saying, he's not going to be able to text his son about whatever is going on after school. We need to make sure that there is training and support for other systems, like especially like after school activities, for ways to communicate. And then again, consistency to make sure that those policies are followed. So we need to make sure that teachers are being consistent in applying these consequences, but we also need to make sure that coaches are using the new system. And I think that's a really great opportunity for a thing that needed to be improved anyway. I'm also really curious. Thank you, Marcus, for kind of shedding some light on why the inconsistencies are happening. We also have, you know, the principal of the high school here, who I'm sure is an amazing resource and super knowledgeable about why there may be inconsistencies. Definitely, I'm sure students, you know, aren't always truthful about things like that. But I think also, like, no teacher at any of our schools wants a student to be doing this under the desk instead of listening. So they definitely want to be applying these things consistently. And I think making sure that, again, to echo a lot of other people here, we need to make sure that there's admin support and communication with parents about what the policies and expectations are, because a teacher cannot also waste 15 minutes of their class arguing with a student about their cell phone. It just isn't practical. No teacher wants to do that. So we really have to have our policy ducks in a row here.
Karen and then Amy.
I think two things. One, I'd like to start by thanking you, Marcus, for sharing your perspective, because you are in the classroom, which is someplace I'm not. So it's super helpful. And second, for the schools that we have had discussions with, and for the schools that have had success, are they using pouches? And if so, are those pouches large enough to include not only the cell phone, but the watch and all these other gadgets that are just as...
Depending what pouch you buy.
Right.
Like Mandy had the hard case ones downstairs, and the small one, there's no room. You know, while that pouch has the best warranty,
Right.
I don't know that that's the one that I love the most. I mean, because I see, like, all I can think of is like the money bag
Right.
that seems
Right.
convenient and easy and not bulky. And I mean, I can just, if you had something like a money bag and you had like a big bin out at the front of the door and you just like threw it in at the end of the day,
Right.
it's not smashing, breaking, cracking, stacking, those types of things. And so I think that's one of the pieces that I see. The schools definitely say they've had to replace some, no matter what product they buy, and that will be an ongoing thing. And I guess like the other thing that concerns me, just like with this whole piece, is that I just think that as a society, we tend to, when a law goes into effect, everything kind of ratchets up a little bit. One way or the other, the reaction tends to be different. And I have tried to have some conversations with like the school attorney to be like, okay, so something happens with this phone afterwards, you know, just regular stuff happens in days, or kids are still going to be kids with it and do something that we don't like. Where are schools going to be in that chain of liability or response? Because, you know, you have a policy now, it's different, but now there's going to be people that if they're unhappy about something, like, that was the law and you weren't. I worry about that piece a little bit. You know, I also will just say that we've talked about like emergency response providers prefer them to be away, you know, during emergencies. And we made a different choice as a school department. And I know that we have that, but I also can tell you that the day we had our scare here, and while some people didn't like that kids were filming it out the window, boy, when I was driving 110 miles an hour down the interstate to get back here and someone says it's on the internet and they filmed it and there's not, like, okay, you know, like that was good to know. Could be the other way, and it could be bad too.
The other way.
I
and they
know.
were Not close to the window, Jeremy.
I know.
So
But for the schools that we've met with so far that are saying their program is relatively successful, are they using pouches? Do we
I
know
think
that?
everybody who says that they have the program is saying that they have success. Ones who like the pouches like that piece. Ones who have gone a different one like the.
Okay,
I think they like what they have because it was homegrown,
right.
and you tend to be more invested in something that maybe is homegrown than a quick decision. I think that quick decision is what puts us in this place of whatever choice we have to make. Whereas, like, we were talking with Scarborough the other day, and they're like, we went through this for like 12 months and got to where we felt comfortable. And I think they were feeling like, wow, it's tough to honor the work and the voices that went into that conversation because it's now they're in a very different direction than where they were. And like, I think that's the piece you know, the question, while it's displayed as pouches or not, we, you know, the 29.4% that answered a little bit differently, their options was in the case, like we have, or off and away. Because there are some schools that are saying off and away is going to be their place, and some are saying, hey, we're not even going to allow a phone in the building. It needs to stay in cars or whatever.
I think the
That-
fact that it's a law, to be honest with you, I think the fact that it's a law is to our benefit.
Yeah.
Because it is what it is, and it's the law, and there's no sense in debating it. It is just a go forward from here and figure it out and put something in place and try your best effort. It may not be perfect the first go around, but that doesn't mean things can't change and adjust and just get better as we go.
Amy?
Yeah, I just want to honor the work that's been done on the policy that we have here that does address some of these concerns, and specifically to Marcus's concern about like oh, in block 1, so-and-so had his phone out, and the teacher was like, hey man, put that away. And then he went to block 2 and took it out, and the teacher was like, hey man, put that away, right? This policy gets rid of that entirely. The first infraction, your phone is in the principal's office. And the second infraction, your parents got to come and get it for you. So I think that that will help a lot. And I think that will quickly move the conversation from like individual teachers having a hard time to very quickly like, okay, we know who's going to push this boundary. We've already talked to their parents and we have a plan on that. And like, I'm a resident bad kid who would totally buy that thing off the internet and sell swipes to unlock people's phones. Like, my sister is here to attest that I would 100% do that. But I think that having a policy in place that's school wide is actually going to buy us a lot of freedom for the kids. And what I'm hearing from kids who go to schools with a bell-to-bell ban is that they like it. And so I'm hopeful.
Megan and then Murray.
That's one scenario, right? I think, oh, geez, okay. What I was concerned about in the survey was teachers not trusting each other. And that one teacher doesn't want to fight the battle because they don't trust their colleagues. And so that was my concern, because then no teacher is going to be able to follow it, because nobody wants to be the bad guy when the guy down the hall is the good guy. And so whether we invest all kinds of money in pouches or whether it's lockers or whether it's just put it away, no system's going to work if that's the mentality. But I think that you're right in terms of the policy being admin heavy, and then it takes everything away from the teacher, and it's just when you see it, it goes. And so I'm hoping that that gives all the teachers the freedom that none of them have to be the bad guy. Martha will be. Sorry. Martha's like
Principal Murray.
Hi. I'll keep an eye on the time because I know people have things to do. I have a lot to say about this. First and foremost, it's very easy to point the finger at administration and say that people haven't been held accountable. Marcus, thank you for speaking up. I think that this is a grassroots effort, right? The state law piece of it is so helpful. I think that this starts at home. I can't tell you the number of students that we have whose parents have bought them a second cell phone and said, put this one in the box and keep this in your pocket. Or a third to say, put this one in the office, put this one in the box, keep this one in your pocket. So there are 3 administrators in the building. When it is brought to us that a student has violated this, I mean, I sat in the front office today with a box behind me with 12 cell phones, ding, ding, ring, bing, all the things. When it's brought to our attention, we handle it. There are cases of colleagues in rooms next to each other that know that teacher A isn't following the policy, but they don't want to rat that teacher out because they're colleagues and they have to work together. So when it is brought to our attention, or when we're walking down the hallway and see a student on a phone in the classroom, I knock on the door, say, sorry to interrupt, may I have that please? And then have a conversation with the teacher later to remind them that this is a school board policy that they've chosen to not follow. So I think that we need the support of home. This is a state law. If we see a student with a vape in a hallway, we don't ignore it and say, hey, no big deal, just next time put it away. So the verbiage in the policy around discipline is incredibly helpful for us. I will say, again, there are 3 administrators in this building with 1,000 people. So we need the help of teachers. We need the help of students. The pouches is another tool to help teachers do their job. If a student is able to keep their phone with them all day rather than in a box, kids aren't getting dismissed. They're not going into classrooms. They're not taking a phone out. They're not saying, excuse me, I have to go to the nurse. I need my phone. My mom just dismissed me. I have to go back to classroom A to get my phone. The pouches remove a whole level of conflict between a teacher and a student. Our teachers deal with a lot of conflict in their classrooms. So this is a tool to help reduce that and kind of help level the playing field for teacher A that might be teaching for 30 years and be very, very comfortable addressing a student and taking that to a brand new teacher who is worried about classroom management and is the agenda on the board and are the evacuation maps accurate and everything else. So it's a tool that we can help provide them to do their job better and focus on the academic teaching piece of it. Marcus, you had your hand raised. Did you have a question for me? Okay. Does anyone have questions for me while I'm here? I'm happy to. Go ahead, Megan.
And then Emily.
Oh, sorry.
Oh, sorry, someone else is first. Oh, it is me first. So thank you for bringing that up, because that's the explanation I think I need. What's unfortunate is that this is the data that we were given, and that data just pointed to inconsistency. That was the only quotes that were on there. So that's what we had to go by. So I'm glad to have an explanation as to that, because that's what we just sent out to the community. That's what we were given as a school board, right? That nobody's consistent and nobody trusts each other. That's a terrible look as we're moving this forward. So I am glad that you had the opportunity to come up and explain that, because that's the sense I get, right? I'm already seeing parents online talking about how they can sabotage this state law. And so as a school board member, it is all about how can we tighten this up the most for you. So as somebody that was on this board 2 years ago when we developed this, my concern was we weren't being black and white enough, that not doing a bell-to-bell ban was going to create tension for teachers and put them in the exact position that you just mentioned. And so I think we need to hear about how insurmountable this is for you as an admin, how much tension this is for you as teachers, because there's admin above you, and then there's us. And so the more that we all do to support that, the better. There wasn't enough information about what wasn't working, because for 2 years we kept hearing like it was fine until we just got that info as we're about to move into making things worse. So thanks for the explanation. I appreciate it. I do believe that's exactly how it goes. So.
Emily.
2 questions. One is, what do you think might help the parents who buy the 3rd cell phone understand why this is good for kids? Kids say it's good for kids. The science says it's good for kids. We're saying it's good for kids. No parent wants to harm their kid. So what's the disconnect there? That's question 1. Question 2, if you could wave your magic wand and we did whatever you thought was the thing to do, what would that be?
Okay, first, question 1 was an opinion. So I'm giving you my opinion. This is not factual. This is
They're both
me,
opinions,
Martha
to be
Murray.
clear,
Yes.
and that's great.
Opinion is that I think, I think the pandemic was really hard. I think there's an attachment. I'm also a licensed mental health professional. I think the anxiety that parents have around their kids and being able to be in contact with their kids and talk with their kids and email their kids and everything. I think we are in a society right now that is instant gratification. Growing up, we knew we had to wait till the end of the day to make a phone call. We knew that if, we missed the bus home, we were going to stay there on the curb until mom got out of work. I think we have phones in our offices. We have student phones in our buildings that kids use now. That's still there. Parents will be able to get in touch with their students. So I think that's hard. I think I've had 3 parents come in this week to talk to me about this and say, just so you know, I'm not going to do that. And I was like, let's wait and see how this goes. But just so you know, this is a state law. And Superintendent Ray and I have talked about that. I think the fact that it is a state law, again, is incredibly helpful. I think that, people talk about extracurricular activities and sports and what if a practice gets moved and what if this and what if that. We have tools in place now where our coaches communicate appropriately with students and their families, and that's Reach My Teach. It has been a game changer for us. There are opportunities to build groups and there are opportunities to build teams and to communicate in any language back and forth with families. That's a message from a coach to the team to say, hey, here's this information. And that's something that comes through as an email on their school issued device during the day. So that communication piece is still there. I think, you know, to your second point of, if I could wave my magic wand and you did this. So to quantify it a bit, I'm part of a principals group statewide, as well as in New England. And in each of those groups, we've kind of watched schools try this for the last year or 2 or 3. There are 13 other states that this has been happening for years. So this is not brand new. We've really been looking at what's been working and what hasn't worked for them, and kind of learning from those. I think for me personally, again, I am in favor of a pouch system. I really, when we look at logistics and timing and all of that, you know, of the 3 options that Dr. Sear talked about, that third option, it is really, the case is a little bit bigger. It would fit all of their devices. It is like a bank bag. I worry about logistics, right? I was in the policy meeting and I talked about the days of COVID where I stood in the Steve White gym with a thermal scanner and every student had to come through every morning. And I was at that scanner and I saw every single kid as they came in, and that took about 35 minutes. So when we look at how we're locking or unlocking, that third option only has us doing one of those 2 things. So a kid can click it and lock it themselves. Those bags, from what we've read so far, are more durable. And I think that the schools that I've talked to and worked with that have a pouch system love it and say, don't do it without it. Again, this is information I'm getting secondhand from other groups, but that is what thank you.
Marie, and then, yeah, Marie.
First of all, thank you for that, Martha, and for everyone's comments, for insightful dialect here on this issue. Again, I'm going to go back to the point that I made earlier. We all need to be rowing in the same direction. We serve everybody in the community. Our constituents include not only our students, but their parents, the staff, central office, school administrators within each building. So as a board, we're servicing all of these groups together. And if we were all in a race right now and we were all in boats, you all know which boat's going to win. The boat where everyone's rowing in the same direction. Put yourself in a boat where people are choosing to row in whatever direction they choose to row, and tell me where they finish in that race. Any successful program is when everybody's on board and they're rowing in the same direction. That's where success is going to come. And everyone needs to be, again, mindful of that. No one is looking to be punitive with this or any of this. It is a law. It's given to us. We need to implement it. We're going to do it in the best, as you said earlier, Megan, thoughtful manner, in a productive manner, you know, in the manner that best suits the needs of this district. They may vary a little bit from somebody else's, but again, whatever we choose and whatever this group does, comes up with for policy, whatever equipment we're going to use, we all need to be on board and rowing in the same direction. So having said that, Jeremy, it's been it's been a better year with regards to budget, but we did have to make some cuts. This might take funding. Do we have contingency funds set aside? Did you plan for any of this? Just where are we on this on the financial side?
So 3 things. 1, getting as much as that 350,000 as we can. Number 1. Number 2 is we do have some funds that is in what used to be called cultural enrichment funds, that when we sold laptops, that's where the money's gone. So I have some money there. And then number 3 was I was kind of thinking that I would put together the group purchase like we did for Mass and maybe help supplement Biddeford on this one.
Thank you.
Cordelia, and then Marcus.
I think this is really good for kids, whether we do the pouch or not, just taking the phones away. Like, I know from personal experience, when my freshman year was the last year, like, we could have our phones. And I know I had a much easier time in my classes once the distraction was completely taken away. And I think, especially with communication, having for sports and those kinds of things, not being able to come through your phone will be able to teach kids really important life skills, like actually checking your email, because most kids don't do that, and it's important in your future. I think my one biggest concern with the pouch is, although in an emergency situation we don't want kids like by the window recording what's going on, I do think parents will worry about like is my kid safe? Is my kid okay? And they want to hear from you. So my only concern is being able to open your pouch in that scenario and being able to tell your parent, like, I'm okay.
Thank you, Cordelia. Marcus.
Now, I know when you talked about the 3 pouches, there were ways to open them, not just with a magnetic. You said there was like a wand or something. One of the real things I have about it is that there are just so many exits of Biddeford High School, because you got your parking lot down by the Tiger Gym, you got the buses up by the Steve White Gym. Even just right now without the pouches, the main lobby is just such a congested area that even like just getting to my sports, it's just I have to weave through so many people. And when people unlock their pouches, they're gonna sit there for a second, take their phone out, and it's just gonna be everyone's just all in one place. So that's like the main thing that that's like that. And then also mix up with phone pouches, like if you have it and you set it off to the side and say your friend accidentally takes yours, on the end of the day, they're now unlocking your pouch, or you're unlocking somebody else's pouch, and you don't know whose whose pouch it is. So that's the 2 things that's really concerned me about the pouches.
I think Marcus also too is that offer to go to the high schools would be to you guys as well, like to help be part of that discussion if you wanted to go,
Michelle.
I just want to say, in listening to all of this, one really good thing is all the questions people brought up are things we discussed tonight in policy. And so I think there's definitely conversations about that happening, whether it's because of things that Martha's seen already, things that Mandy and Chris have talked to other people about in other schools. So those conversations are happening. So I'm glad to hear those questions, but they're definitely being discussed. I think the other great thing is we're not starting from scratch. We started this 2 years ago, and even though it's not perfect, it's already a start, and we know what's gone right, we know what's gone wrong, and so we can move on from there. So I think that's a really good thing. And also, Cordelia, I was really glad to hear you bring up the email point, because I have a kid that just finished college, and I'm sure it's like this in business too. I have a husband in business. People don't communicate by text, they communicate by email. And I can tell you, when graduation stuff came around, that was all in email. And if you weren't reading your email, you don't get to graduate in college. And, my husband's on the phone a lot for work, but he also gets a lot of emails throughout the day. And so you have to learn how to manage those things. And I think I mentioned a policy, another really great thing, which I think Megan's been seeing at her school. My son had a class his junior year that did not allow any devices. And he learned how to take notes by hand, probably for the first time. And he really was able to engage in that class. And one of the things he's complained about at college is kids are not engaging in classes at college. And there's a lot of AI, there's a lot of cheating going on. And so not having the phones and not having the MacBooks and everything, he found it made a really big difference in his class. So I think it's great discussion. I think we're thinking through a lot of these things already. I know even the coach's question was something we discussed, and there's a lot of things already in place that are either being used or that we can use maybe more efficiently going forward. So great discussions.
just on the coaches piece, like in the meeting that we were with Portland, is he an owner, Mandy, that works on the Portland staff of Reach My Teach, or?
Yes, or that's the person that developed Reach My Teach.
And so they were going to have a conversation about that after school activity kind of add-on piece. I don't know, maybe we just talk to Maxwell House and see what he can come up with.
Megan.
So thank you guys, especially to the high school students again for those little logistical things, because again, like the policy committee is gonna develop policy and it's gonna be up to the admin to discuss procedure, but all those little things and those perspectives are so helpful. And we as the policy committee want to be as helpful as possible when we're developing policy, making sure that everything's airtight. So like, I appreciate that very much. When Marie brought up funding, Jeremy, for this, and like you talked about a couple of pockets that you might be able to pull from, I'd be remiss if I didn't bring up that our email boxes have been flooded this week with staff concerned about the lack of funding for IXL. And so when we're talking about being able to find funding for this, and we're not bringing up that, like, you know, we can't fund this really important program that our teachers are saying that we need. Can you explain to me, is this different pockets of money that couldn't be accessed for IXL? Like, I want to get that information out there.
Yeah, I mean, these would be pockets of money that don't sit in your general fund. You know, typically we've used the cultural enrichment fund to, when Rich says, hey, I need 200 Chromebooks, we had sold old stuff to help him replace, even though we put a lot in the budget. So that's where that money would have to come from. State dollars are just, clearly there's $350,000 and we've got to, if that's used, we want to try to get our share. And then again, was trying to raise funds through being a group purchaser.
I just don't want to talk about spending money and
Yep.
not address that we all value the IXL program. And if we could find a way to fund that, you know, obviously that would be back on the table. So just wanted to make sure we clarified that we're not choosing pouches over IXL.
Marcus.
One last quick thing, especially about sports. I remember in middle school when, you know, if a practice got canceled, if a game got moved, there would be an announcement over the intercom. And I know Dennis Walton is a great athletic director. And I feel as if we have this ban, and you know, my coach, he uses an app that doesn't link to my email, which is unfortunate. So I have to look at my phone. But if Dennis Walton is getting all of these, getting the messages, he can announce that, saying like, hey, this is canceled, this got moved, and then students are able to come to, you know, the phones in the office. Or do the teachers' phones work for that too? Or they can go to a teacher's phone who has who's allowing them to, and they can just call their parents, you know, if they're at work or whatever, because they'll probably have their phone. I'm like, hey, it got moved. I'll be home on the bus, or you know, can you come pick me up after this? Or I'm catching a ride with my friend because practice got canceled, game got moved, other things like that. So
Just also like Marcus, like on those pieces too, is that like the way we use our website can be different too. It's like you can just have a pop-up on our website of like, you know, when you click on it, the banner could be, you know, clearly if it's been a rainy day, we could go to that and have that, like, so there are tools that we have in place that could be used as well. Yeah.
Emily.
My question is just, your parents don't get any notifications directly about changes?
So mine do. I just know some students might not, because it is an option for the parents to sign up for those sporting apps. You know, mine obviously do, so they know. But other kids, they won't like push their parents, or their parents won't ask for them to give them the information to be on those sports sharing apps.
I wonder if there could be like a daily email too that goes out to all the parents, like automatically. You know what I mean?
I mean, I think there's a lot of things that we can do, but I also know that Dennis also has practice schedules on the website. You know, I think we're going to have to readjust from push notification to actually looking. Like that's going to be the difference in a lot of this, because again, we all love push notification on certain items. Some stuff, you know, we don't want that. But that's the reprogramming of some of this that we will have to readjust to, is that, again, when some of us were involved in youth athletics. We went home with a weekly calendar. Dennis has got them online. You know, you may choose, we may as a group say, hey, it's not Reach My Teach, but it's Team Snap or one of those other ones. My preference would be go through the same program that we have, because that should be able to work the best. And we want things to be translated immediately. But some of this is going to be very much a readjustment of parents. You know, we have to readjust. I think about it with my own kids, that because there's that push notification or some of those things, you kind of leave it on them a little bit. And now I've got to change a little bit. That's okay.
Marie.
Marcus, I just want to say that I had a flashback to the 70s when you were saying that, you know, something over the intercom from the AD, and you would use the office phone or a teacher phone. My God, back in the 70s, that's how we were getting it done, and it got done. You know, today there are other tools, you know, that people will be able to implement. And I agree, it's people just readjusting and retooling what we've been doing, you know, a little bit differently. It worked back then. You just described exactly what I would do as a student athlete back in the mid to late 70s. So if it worked then, with everything else you got, it's going to work now. We're going to, like Megan says, we're going to be okay.
And in the 90s.
I'm just saying.
It worked through the 2010s at my school.
Yeah.
Other comments from the committee? Seeing none, to the superintendent, do you have the direction you need, or is there more clarification or direction from the committee that would be necessary at this point?
So what I can definitely say that I didn't hear was that there were 7 people against bags. That's clearly not off the table. So we're clear, just being clear on that point. Mandy and the team will continue to look at options. But like I said, we will need to move on options if that is the direction we go, sooner rather than later. We're at the first meeting of the month. We're going to have another one here. Did you guys in policy committee talk about timeline today? Okay.
Yeah, and do you have a schedule for those upcoming policy meetings, or are we publishing those so folks are aware? Michelle?
I don't know the date of the next policy. It's not till late summer, so I think we're gonna have to move on this sooner than that,
Yeah.
sooner than our regular, so we'll have to get that out. We were looking at having a policy ready in time for our June meeting, so that we had time if we need to make any adjustments. But I wanted to ask you in regards to what you just said. Mandy had talked about some of the schools she's talked to that have pouches. I know Megan's talked about the school she works at not having pouches. Have we talked to any other schools
Yeah.
that have done this without?
Yeah, I mean, like Scarborough's doesn't, we talked to them the other day. Massabesic doesn't. But I also know that in talking with many superintendents that have or haven't done that, they are also just share some concerns that this just got ratcheted up a little bit because it's a law. I know that Gorham will not be going to it with a pouch. They've made that decision. That's not what they want to do. I've heard that there's others that are saying, keep it in your car. It's a tough one. It's a tough one. And I think in this situation, I listened to what Martha has to say, because again, sitting down in my office, I'm not going to be fighting a cell phone, battle with a kiddo. We know consistency is a challenge. We know that there's 3 of them that are monitoring this situation for a large high school. And we asked staff what we think would be easiest at first. I mean, it will be forever. Maybe it only lasts for a couple of years and then you're not replacing them and things change. I don't know. So I think that's kind of the piece is that, what I don't want to do is whatever we do, be back in November saying, well, that wasn't the right thing, and have to have a false start or like come back after Christmas and now this is the rule. And I don't want to go with the pouch and not be able to get them on day one if that is the way that we go.
Any other questions or comments on this? If not, I want to thank everyone for their feedback, ideas, questions, and for policy committee's work on this. It's appreciated. And that will bring us to public participation, for which we have a 3-minute limit. Anybody wishing to speak on tonight's school committee meeting? Seeing none. Communications. Any other business from committee members? Okay. There you go.
So this past or last Monday night, we had, I think, our last PI meeting, and people got to invite a guest. I had invited Mayor LaFountain, who cordially came and joined our group. We had a few different people to the event, still looking to grow that group. And lots of interesting things were being discussed for the opening of the school year, a little welcome back kind of activity. So again, this is a chance for parents to get involved with their child, without their child, however they'd like to do it. 2 students can come, friends, little groups can come and be part of the discussion and the decisions being made on various activities and events that they're looking to implement into the building. So it was a good night. I'm going to because it was his first meeting, so I'm going to let Mayor LaFountain speak to, his first meeting.
Thank you, Marie, and thank you, Principal Murray, for organizing that group. It was great to be able to attend, meet a lot of the students, parents, teachers, enjoyed the conversation, and as Marie pointed out, looking to grow that program. So this is another opportunity here for those watching, if you have parents or kids in the school, to get involved in that group ahead of next year, and we're looking to plan something for opening week of the school in this fall. So, but thank you again for organizing that. Any other business from committee members? Seeing none, I'll provide a few other updates. I want to reiterate what the superintendent said about the Hall of Honor event, which was very well done by Dennis Walton, the nominating committee. I think, Marie, you're on that, as well as the organizing committee. They did an excellent job again, and congratulations to all of those inductees. Also, we had a student ushers, which Marcus was one of them. So thank you, Marcus, for volunteering there, which is a good segue for the softball's opening day, where Marcus was also an assistant coach there. Nice job. Very active and engaged. And the softball opening day was especially really great to be at because of the Biddeford Regional Center of Technology and Mr. Bouthelette, his program with all the electrical work that they did, not just on the new canteen, but also the scoreboard, which was donated by the St. Louis Alumni Association. So it's really a great event to be part of, and encourage folks to go by, watch a softball game, and get something at the canteen. Additionally, I was at Biddeford High School last week for the Jobs for Maine graduates. I was able to speak to a cohort of that class. So I want to thank Mr. Barassa for putting that together, and for the students who all came with good questions and ideas for our city. It's great to have them engaged. And also wanted to share that the school budget did pass at the city council level. Both the first and second readings were both unanimous. So thanks for all the good work from the superintendent's office, business manager, and the school committee, finance committee for their work on that. It will be on the June 9th referendum. Absentee ballots are now available, so if you're looking to vote absentee, you can contact the city clerk's office or look it up online as well. With that, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
Second.
Moved by Amy, second by Marie. All those in favor? That is unanimous. Meeting is